Buy my book, The Death of Batman, written by 16-year-old me.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Alien Familiar RPG podcast. I am Clayton.
I'm Beth. I'm Nina.
Jizzbox. Fuck! I do that all the time. Kyle Perkins. Hello.
I'm
Author of renowned novel Death of Batman.
Let's true Death of Batman.
Renowned author Hayley Michelle Trachtenberg.
Do I need to explain myself any further? Pass it along?
Professional Haley Bullier, KD.
Is that a thing?
It's official job title. It's on my LinkedIn.
openings.
Like, what's the pay? Like,
What's the pay? Shit.
Oh, okay.
But it's what you used to throw at me, so it's fine.
Yeah, like the zero money I make doing it is it's its own reward. It's like non-profit.
Rotten tomatoes in my garden. Clayton, tell us about today's topic.
Well, before we talk about the topic, I just want to remind our listeners that you can find show notes and more at alienfamiliar.com. You can email us at alienfamiliarmedia@gmail.com. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/alienfamiliar. I am personally on Discord as DM Scorpio number 0660, and I've created a channel for Alien Familiar Media. We have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/alienfamiliarmedia. So if you enjoy our content and would like to help us out with hosting costs, any help would be greatly appreciated.
Help us!
Yes, please send us money.
That's that gremlin from under the table again. I don't know.
Yeah,
He lives in the jizz box.
You're making it so that I have to put the jizz box as the cold opening.
No, especially now that we've said this, don't just confuse people.
I like that idea.
You have to subscribe to our Patreon to get the uncut version of what this glorious podcast is.
So, our topic for today is going to be the greatest characters we've never played and the greatest campaigns that we've never played. And to get us started, I'm going to put it over to Beth because Beth had a very good point about the greatest characters she's never played.
I hope I can remember what that point is.
Well done.
I think it was that. Are you talking about when I said that I almost never play the character that I intend to play?
Your exact words to me were, every character I've ever made is the greatest character I've never played.
Yeah. I make the characters and I get really excited, especially about the flaws. I've had characters that were supposed to have severe mood swings. I've had characters that were supposed to have panic attacks before, and I always chicken out on whatever the most kind of severe aspect of the character is. I always think I'm going to do it. I get all excited about it beforehand, and then whenever I actually get here, I'm just yeah.
I think that's fair. A lot of times I'll set out to make a character that has flaws or just something extreme about their personality, and then I too kind of tiptoe around it and maybe don't do it as much as I intended to. Yeah,
the mood swings character, I was just I was afraid, even though I had said that character was going to be kind of an asshole, I just sort of was oh, they're not going to know if it's the character or if I'm just being a bitch that day, you know what I mean? So I always have trouble with those aspects.
Yeah, especially characters that have some sort of extreme personality type. Whenever I make one and I have something like that, when it comes down to the game session, I'm sitting there thinking, if I really play this character the way I have it in my head, I'm going to totally monopolize this game. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go. I'm going to go over everybody else, and that's not why I play the game.
Right.
Whenever I'm creating the character, I'm I definitely want to do this. I want to have fun doing this. But then when it comes down to it, when it's time, I realize that this concept isn't conducive to the group's fun.
I think most people set out to make a, cast of characters that operate fairly well within each other's personal spaces. And you go to make a character that's bombastic or extreme in some way, even if you think it'd be really fun, the greatest character you've never played. And you kind of back down, the same reason why, you're getting to know new friends and you hold off on your jizzbox jokes until you've known them for a couple years.
That was not my experience with making friends with you, but okay.
I feel like you kind of lead in with the jizzbox sometimes.
You gotta just dive in to the jizzbox.
Oh, God.
All right, that's the last time I'm going to say the word jizbot. That's
Yeah,
the last time I'm going to say the word jizbot. That's the last time I'm going to say the...
This is the last time I'm going to be saying the word jizzbox. That's how you'd want to phrase that.
Thank you.
I got you.
couldn't
I
think
got you,
about it.
Jack.
So, what are you saying, Beth, that like sometimes that every character in a way, from a certain point of view, is the best character you've
You're
never
right.
played?
Because I always get super excited about him, and I have this very clear idea in my head, which it may be like this for most people. You have this very clear idea in your head of like this character and their backstory and everything, and there's just really only so much that you can even convey to other people just through your actions and what you say during the campaign. But I think I take that a step further, and there's like stuff that I absolutely could convey, but I just end up not doing it. Clayton saying that about, not fitting with the group made me think of an example I hadn't thought of before, which is I had an idea to do a character who was terrible at everything but thought they were awesome at it. So, their idea, the problem was that they would offer to do everything. Like, no matter what came up, they would be like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to pilot this plane because I'm the best pilot, and I'm going to, sail this ship because I'm the best sailor.
Shot.
And it would be, right, exactly. They would end up, pretty soon probably people would figure out that they were full of it, but depending on how the roles went, it's a character that I feel like would be fun to play for the person playing it, and just a real pain in the ass for everybody else.
What is the... Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that's part of the problem with role-playing games is, you can't just stand there and monologue for 10 minutes. You
Well,
can't
unless
be
you're the dungeon master.
True. Or literally you're playing a character that, his quirk or her quirk is I monologue. Just randomly, because, you can't just be I'm thinking this, or, you don't understand, and it's pretentious to be you make a decision, then, stop the game, be like, hey, everyone, I just like to let you all know that I made that decision because of this in my backstory. Look how well fleshed out I am. So, that's definitely, I can agree with you there, that's definitely a problem with games in general, I think. But, go ahead.
I was going to say, what is the, social disorder where you're always lying about small things, or you're saying
Pathological liar?
No, it's there's a lot that have that. You might be thinking of histrionic personality disorder.
Is that one where you say you can do you can fly a plane even though you can't? Because I don't know, you triggered something in my mind where I was that is something, maybe the plot of a movie. And I can't, you know how movies portray social disorders and, mental disorders very, very poorly.
Right,
But I was trying to, there's some movie I thought where somebody
It's
was
called
like that.
pathological lying. It's a symptom, not a disorder.
Okay.
You're right.
So the way I'm going to break down this topic is that we're going to talk about characters for a while, and then we're going to talk about any campaigns that you have wanted to either play in or run as a game master. I'm going to go ahead and start off with a character that I've brought up on the podcast a few times, but I haven't really... I've mentioned it in passing, particularly on the previous episode about religious characters, where I wanted to play the Paladin of Ouijas, who was a lawful good paladin, who was... The idea behind the guy is that he is a reformed villain, because everybody has this preconception of their mind that paladins are they've always been this beacon of good, and I'm always fascinated by the reformed villain archetype, and I've always wanted to play that as a character, but I never actually find a situation where I can actually play that type of character, because in order to play a reformed villain, I feel like I would need to be in a group of player characters who are all good. And when does that happen? When do you ever play, whether their alignment says it or not, they're playing a chaotic neutral, just doing whatever the fuck they think they want to do in the moment and saying to hell with the consequences. That type of character, going along with what I have in my mind for this reformed villain, would mean that my reformed villain would never actually reform because it would be like an addiction where he's always got access to that drug or that what I view evil as is more often than not evil is just the easiest way to accomplish something without caring about anything that any other people feel about. And so if you've got another character in the group who is doing that, I feel like I don't really feel like I can play a reforming villain accurately because there would be this temptation, and if that temptation is always there, it would be too much for that person to always resist.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be the same character, but what about playing somebody who is like attempting to reform, but keeps getting sucked back in to bad situations because of the other character?
I have actually tried to play that before, and I mean, it went exactly how I just described.
Oh,
where
yeah.
In the group, I ended up being the moral compass of the group.
That's really
and I'm the
sad.
reforming villain.
Yikes. That doesn't work.
I've just never been in a group where it has worked.
Yeah.
And I have a nice little quote that I've got here that I've basically built this character around. It's a Nietzsche quote. Of all evil, I deem you capable. Therefore, I want good from you. I have often laughed at the weaklings who thought themselves good because they had no claws.
Interesting.
Like, they don't have the power to do evil, so they think they're good, but they would do it if they had the power.
Yeah. That's really cool.
It's a beautiful quote.
So not like the Santa Claus.
They have no claws.
Now I get it.
Or like a grammatical structure.
I like that.
Claws. That's interesting. I actually only really, at the moment that I can think of off the top of my head, have one example. And it's somewhat tied into a reformed villain idea. And the whole core concept, I wrote out this character for a game that didn't end up happening, but I was super excited for it. And it was a thief whom ends up in prison, gets a chance to redeem himself, or get out of prison, I guess, not even redemption, goes with this detective, it was in a fantasy setting, like, up to a cave. The two sort of earn each other's mutual respect, fighting through, like, the booby traps in, like, an Indiana Jones style scenario. But this guy's the character I want to play was overconfident, and so the detective ends up, like, pushing him out of the way of a trap or something, and, like, gives up his life for him. And it's sort of an eye-opening experience. Won't get into the rest of it, but anyway, this character ends up taking on the name and mantle of the deceased character. And like a little trope I've always really wanted to play is, you start off as one thing, but like metaphorically and maybe even literally you bury that and like become someone else. And then that's, a fun thing to explore. You're pretending it's kind of an interesting roleplay challenge because you're role-playing this
You're a
character.
dude playing a dude.
Yeah, literally.
Pretending to be another dude.
Exactly. And I always thought that was really cool.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
I had a very, very similar character I really wanted to play.
Hang on, I'm talking about Kyle's character.
Oh no, I thought, okay, never mind.
No, you thought you could talk, but Kyle was talking.
Kyle, take it away.
Kyle,
Yeah.
so he would become the detective?
Yeah.
And so it's like kind of a famous detective?
In the backstory, I wrote a backstory for a specific universe at the time, but, obviously this trope or archetype could be put anywhere. But yeah, he was like a hotshot, like young up and coming detective, who had sort of defeated this character in this very like public battle of wits, Sherlock Holmes, Moriarty style. Moriarty.
It's one of those.
Moriarty.
Oh, it's that one, I think.
And so, I don't know, I liked that idea. There was more involved, too. I won't, get into the whole, relic thing, because it added a whole new level of bullshit to it. But yeah, so the idea would be this guy would go around, pretending to be another dude, and people were like, oh, yes, Galen Cross, we heard about you in blah, 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 in Shrubbery. You're quite the detective there. And he'd be like, ah, yes, that's me.
But he couldn't go back to Shrubbery because they'd recognize him. Ooh. You play a lot of detectives, and so I love this idea, but I would challenge you to turn it around. Be a detective who, a junior up-and-coming detective, not that famous yet, catches a very famous, like, thief or criminal. Like, not like a rapist or a murderer.
But like a thief.
Like a thief. Like someone who's not
A gentleman thief.
Cat thief.
Sure.
Cat burglar.
Catches him fair and squares, got him trapped, the same cave scenario happens. Thief saves detective's life. Detective's like, well, I'm not going to be able to bring this person in because they've been turned into pulp in that trap. What if I become
the thief? That could be interesting. I like that. Initially, like, I did want to try to do reformed villain, kind of like you were suggesting. But, yeah, no, that could be interesting, too. I just like the idea of... I think it gives you a lot to work with, and I think it gives your GM a lot to work with if you are literally not who you... In a literal case, not who you say you are. And that's not just, oh, I gave a fake name when I met the party. Like... You have completely assumed the identity of someone that you are not.
Playing a dude pretending to be another dude. I love that.
And I think that, like, you know, that's a balancing act for you. Like, what if you run into someone that you ran with on the streets, and they're just like, oh, hey, so-and-so, and everyone's like, is that guy calling you by a different name? You're like, no! You know.
Old nickname.
Right. But it also gives, you know, a chance to be better. You know, like, and it works out that way, too, if it's a party of good people. And you kind of wanted to play a thief, like, you still kind of have that element in there, but you're not, you know, a thief anymore. Plus, I also like the idea of, like, imagine that skill set, right? You're a thief that becomes a detective, essentially. Like, you have a completely different way of approaching investigative scenarios and, like, crime situations than you would if you were just like, well, I'm just a rookie right off the force, you know?
Kind of like how Ice-T went from being, like, a gangster rapper to playing a detective on television.
Yeah, that's definitely a skill set. You know, all he does is kind of yell and talk about how old he is. But yeah, no, I like that idea a lot. And that is, I think, my, like, thing that I haven't been able to play yet. There's a lot of other characters that I mean, I'll think as other people talk, but, like, the thing is, and maybe this is actually open for discussion now, I've had a couple characters that I've only gotten to play, like, 1 to 2 sessions of, but I did technically play. You know, your example was kind of like that too.
Yeah. What I had in my mind was, like, these are types of characters that we haven't been able to play over the course of a campaign.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I really don't count one-shots as, like, really getting into a character. You're just playing a caricature in a one-shot.
Sure.
Well, Hayley, I believe you had one to bring up.
Yeah, I did. Which is very similar in the character was based around assumed identity.
Copyright.
This was a Firefly game where we never actually got to play a real session, but we had made characters, we built all these things, and the idea of the game was everybody that was on the ship was blackmailed to be here, so we all had some sort of secret that the medic was holding against us to be on the ship. And the character I was playing was, she had an identical twin, and who she really was she was very involved on the Browncoat side of the Firefly mythos and the war, the Alliance War. And her sister was a companion who had all this access to money and travel and was supporting her family while she was off being a rebellious teenager trying to fight the man. And through a series of circumstances, the companion sister had died because of my character. And she's like, fuck, this is the only income my parents have. She should not have been in this war zone. She died because somebody thought that she was me. I should be better off dead. So she took on the identity of her companion sister and has been masquerading as her to even her parents, to everybody. Everybody thinks that she's dead. And the person who, because companions have to go in for a physical exam to get their license renewed. I know a lot about Firefly. But I got caught.
Checked for VD.
Yeah, I got caught and,
What,
the
they were
medic
just
is
like, that's not her labia?
Yeah, well, I've been able to blackmail the other doctors.
Do twins have the same blood?
Convince them. No, twins do not.
That's probably not the
Identical
same blood
twins
type,
would have
right?
the same blood type.
And then you said you were twins, right?
We are identical twins.
So how did they catch you? No, I meant the same blood, like they're connected by like a cable at all times. They're just like cross pumps.
Fucking probably DNA. We didn't really get a chance to like fully flesh it out. But the medic caught me, and I was being blackmailed to be her personal companion and help her along her stolen medical stuff.
Wait, companions are prostitutes, right?
Yeah.
They're
essentially.
kind
So
of
were you a
prostitutes.
sex slave?
They're different. They're
Were
different.
they blackmailing you into being a sex slave?
Okay, they're different though.
Okay.
They're not trafficked.
Well,
Actually,
no. Okay, so here, let me break it down. Like companions, they're their own pimp. Like if you get blacklisted by a companion, you will never be serviced ever again. These ladies are so kick ass, and it's
Okay,
also
but
almost
hold
like
on.
a religion because they have high priestesses. Oh, I love them
But
so
you
much.
were being blackmailed
I was being blackmailed. Yes.
into being someone's personal companion. You were being trafficked.
Yeah, I guess. In a way. But I thought it was really cool because she, the NPC was the only character who knew who I really was out of everyone in the entire galaxy. And also every other player character also had some sort of, like, that high-level secret that we didn't know about. And I was really excited to learn and explore and have these things unfold. And also try and play someone who fought against the Alliance, having to now try and, like, please and service and take money from them. So I thought that was really interesting, and I never got to play it. It made me really sad. No one
I don't
talks,
have
I'll
any
keep
character
talking.
ideas.
Wow.
Oh, if we were going in the circle, I don't have any character ideas. I'm trying to think of some. I'm just a terrible fucking hack. It's really a shame that I have all of these worlds brewing within my hyper creative brain, but I just can't think of any characters.
anyway. So I've had this character idea. It's not really fleshed out, but it's something I've always wanted to try to make a character of. Katie, I know that you have seen Thoroughbreds. Has anybody else?
Like the horse?
The movie.
What's it about?
Oh, that's Seabiscuit that you're thinking.
No, you're thinking of Secretariat.
No, you're thinking of Man of War.
No, I'm thinking of Black Rose. Black
Nice.
Fire.
I like that, guys. That was good.
Are you talking about Black Beauty?
Black Beauty!
That was great.
Sorry, are you a horse girl?
Yeah.
Wow!
As your lawyer, I advise you do not answer that question.
I played the fifth.
Yikes!
So, in this movie follows two teenage girls, one of which has antisocial personality disorder, is a sociopath. And the interesting part is that it is an interesting depiction of antisocial personality disorder where she doesn't have the desire to do good things, but following that, she doesn't really have the desire to do bad things. It's not like she's out here being evil and killing people. She just doesn't.
I know exactly what you're talking about now, but continue.
She doesn't have the desire to help them either. And I've always thought that was a really interesting concept. You always see people, like, writing and playing sociopathic characters that are just, like, very evil and very manipulative, and which are tenets of antisocial personality disorder. Not evil, but manipulative. But you always see them playing very, very bad people, and I love the concept of a character that goes along with a hero adventuring group, but does not have the same, like, justice desire, or noble desire for justice or to help people or anything, and is simply going along with it because it is the interesting thing to do. Mm-hmm. So almost like the reformed villain character, except for in that this character wouldn't work well if anybody in the group was doing bad things. Mm-hmm. But, like, I always play very noble, help the children, gotta save the weaklings, like, resistance type of character. And I think it'd be very fun and difficult to play a character that doesn't have those motivations.
I think that could be a lot of fun.
I think I'd probably end up hating it. I love the character in Thoroughbreds, and I love that movie, but I don't think I could do that.
I think that'd be an interesting challenge for you, though.
Well,
even for, like, a two-shot. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it also brings into question, like, which is my favorite part of the movie, and which is got me so interested in playing a character like this. If somebody is doing a kindness simply because they know that that is the right thing to do, and it is the interesting thing to do, is it still a kindness?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not doing it because they truly have empathy and want to be kind. They're doing it because they know it's the right thing to do, and they're like, "Oh, I may as well."
Well, yeah. So, like, imagine the scenario of, like, there is a cave-in, and this character could go in and save, like, the child that could die. Like, they could run and grab that child and
They
leave.
could build a mini submarine out of the fueling tube of a...
So, with this character that has been traveling with, like, a hero or heroic adventuring group, the idea wouldn't be, oh no, that child is going to die, I have to help them. It is, if they see me not helping this child, I will be out of the group. I should do that. And it is the moral thing to do, the ethical thing to do in society for me to go and save that child, so I will do that. But not caring for that child at all, not being like, thank God you're safe, just did the thing.
Just how much do intentions matter, basically.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, even non-sociopaths like me, do things.
Welcome to your twisted mind.
Welcome to my twisted dark fantasy. A lot of people do things that are good things because they know they should, and others will like judge them if they don't do them. Mm-hmm. But they might not do them if they were alone in a vacuum,
Right.
with an oxygen tank.
I don't know. I also think it's a more accurate description of like not feeling empathy, but struggling to feel empathy. Mm-hmm. Like having to make the choice to care about other people, which is interesting. Because like that's another question. Like if you make the choice to care for somebody's well-being, even if you don't like naturally like feel empathy if they are in trouble or sad or even happy, if you don't like feel anything for that, but you make the decision to care for that person, is it still empathy? Anyway.
That might have to be a podcast topic.
No, it doesn't have to be.
We have the option of making that a podcast topic. I thought of one.
Dark horse.
From...
I might be a horse girl.
Yikes.
That's all for now. My client needs to... it's from Nina Smith's Geist game, where we all made characters and didn't get to play. And much like you, Beth, sorry, no, people can't see who I'm pointing at. Still making that mistake. It's episode like 55 now, whatever. 54, 55, 64.
Left those trophies on the old lakeshore.
Now they're orange and brown. Sorry. They're coming back for more.
They may feel baby.
Much like you, Beth, I don't have all these characters. Wait, maybe this isn't like you. This is me. You can answer if it's like you or not. I don't have all these characters floating around that I want to play. Like, if I thought of a character, I've played it. Mm-hmm. And so, that's why the only one I can think of is from Nina's campaign where we made characters, and I thought of it, and then we didn't just play it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's similar to what you were getting at or not.
Yeah, but tell us about them.
So the character is from a Geist game. In case you, dear listener, are not familiar, in Geist, your player character is dead, and in the moment of their dying, a spirit comes to them and is just like, "Hey, you want to be alive some more?" And then the person goes, "Yes." And then they're like, "Well, I'm gonna fucking get inside of you." And so, it's gross. And so you have this, like, spirit that has brought you back to life, kind of, but they have their own agenda and desires and personality that is always conflicting with your own agenda, desires, and personality.
So do you make two characters for Geist, or does the DM make a character for the ghost thing?
Either or. I've heard it done both ways. Nina was going to have us make our Geists, right?
We made our Geists.
Usually you guys do. It's encouraged for you to do it with, like, peer review, because you don't... Like, you're encouraged to not make something you're going to synchronize 100% with. Because, like, the whole conflict in Geist is your spirit thing wants you to do one thing, and you want to do something else, and you're, like, constantly, butting heads. But there obviously could be someone that's like, "Yep, I'm playing a firefighter, and I'm possessed by the ghost of... A firefighter."
Well, in the same vein of that terrible and dumb character idea, I was going to play a pilot possessed by the ghost of a pilot.
Were you really?
Oh!
Yeah. So, my character was a...
What's the conflict about it?
So hang on. This is not the greatest character you've ever played.
I think it is, because that's double pilot, Clayton. That would make it, by default, the greatest character. I've only ever played single pilots.
That would be 2 pilots.
At the beginning of the campaign, they're single anyway.
Oh!
Double pilot. So I was a bush pilot, I think up in like Alaska, flying like cargo and like fishermen and whatnot around up there. Maybe it was the Boundary Waters. I don't remember. My old Beach 18, my old Twin Beach, engines go out, and I fucking buy the farm, flames all around me. But the spirit of a kamikaze pilot.
Okay, so there's the conflict.
So like, right. I'm just like a civilian pilot, just trying to live his life and do his best, and this like, angry at the like imperial government for lying about and like enticing all of his young friends into becoming kamikaze pilots. Angry at his like superior officers, like just vengeful kamikaze pilot. Just possesses me, and I thought it was cool.
See, okay, but that does have conflict. Because, like, that's not a dumb idea, because those two things are isometrically opposed. But you being like, I'm gonna play a civilian pilot, and then, like, I'm possessed by a civilian pilot, like,
My other option was a civilian pilot possessed by the ghost of Bobby Kennedy.
What? RFK!
He was the pilot one, right? Died in
No, that was,
Robert Jr.
Possessed by the ghost of Junior Kennedy. Oh, Bobby Kennedy was shot.
By Sirhan Sirhan.
Sirhan. Huh.
Junior Kennedy sounds like something the Kennedy family gives, like, junior deputy.
We make you an honorary Kennedy.
All you have to do is your best JFK impression, and you get a Junior Kennedy badge.
Yikes.
That'd be fun. Go ahead. No, Hayley, you spoke first.
Okay.
You uttered a noise before I did.
I also really wish Nina's game sounded really cool, and I was really looking forward to it. And I still have the character sheet I made set up, but I was also playing a vengeful spirit. Well, I wasn't playing a vengeful spirit. My character was a girl who had dropped out of high school for her boyfriend and like didn't get a job because of her boyfriend, and just like really quiet and mousy and small, and she ended up being murdered by him. It's real scary.
Okay.
And the vengeful spirit that possessed me was another woman who was murdered by a spouse, but she was very vengeful. She's like, no, we should just kill all men. And I was really excited to play, like, a character who's like, I just don't want anyone to notice me or look at me, and I just want to, like, go back alive and maybe get, like, a job and finish my degree. That's all I kind of want, is just, like, get my life back.
Are you telling me that her boyfriend murdered her, and at no point in the afterlife was she's just like, I'm a little angry at him?
She was more, like, sad than angry, because she was a very small woman. And this vengeful spirit was like, no, let's get your life back.
Angry.
I mean, that's true.
Have you met a small woman?
I mean, I am a small woman.
So are small men.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm average height.
Yeah, height. Anyway, the spirit,
Stop! Did you just make a fucking dick joke? Did you just make a fucking dick joke here in my house? At my table?
Excuse me.
That's my microphone. Jesus. Candy fucking Christ.
Oh, okay. But, the spirit, very much so was lying to the person it possessed. Was like, yeah, we'll get your life back. We'll do all these cool things. We'll go on dates and try to have your life, and also maybe murder them at the end. Cool, yeah. And so just trying to have a character sort of morph into a serial killer. I thought that was kind of fun. Mm-hmm. I was really excited to murder men and chop their bodies into bits and dance in their blood.
The interesting thing about Geist, and like I wonder if this would have come out in Nian's game, is that, like, a lot of the times, the Geist doesn't, like, talk to you. Like, the couple things of Geist I have played, my spirit was, like, fucking this dude with, like, no eyes and, like, flies just buzzing around in it, and, like, he was bald, and he wouldn't say anything, but, like, if there was a situation where he wanted me to do something, like, rob a dude on the street, he'd show up and, like, point to him, and then I'd have to roll, like, will, because he'd be, like, exerting it on me. I don't know if that's similar. Maybe it could also just be like...
That's like me whenever I go into a speedway. There's like a spirit pointing at the hot dog roller grill, and I have to roll.
It's literally me being like, well, we just bought Arby's, so...
Yeah, so I don't know... Like, I think it would have been interesting to see if she had, like, non-verbally conveyed those things, or if she literally been, like, just John F. Kennedy Jr. in your head being just like, well, Dad's dead, but we can keep going now.
I liked that. That was good. You're a junior Kennedy now.
Yeah, I'm a junior Kennedy.
Nina, if you're listening, run your Geist campaign, for heckin's sake.
So, I went through my sort of impromptu list I made of characters, and I realized that, oddly enough, I'm the type to recycle ideas. So, like, if I play something that I really want to play, but I don't feel it goes well, or, like, we only play, like, 2 sessions or a one-shot, I'll try to bring it back later. A big one was, actually Magnus and Ingwe, because I had really wanted to play a Viking character, and I'd actually played one for a couple sessions, but it went, horribly. But then I got a chance to play it again, for Abena. And so that was pretty cool. And the other one was Pierce. I've actually wanted to do, like, a fallen priest archetype forever. And I finally got to do that, too, so that was pretty cool. But the only other thing I can think of is I've always wanted to, but have never played a responsible noble. Like, I have played exiled noble. I have played disgraced noble. I have played...
Ignoble noble.
I played... born to a noble family, but, like, went red revolutionary and killed all of them. And I've played, like, noble, but not, like, so far removed from power that it doesn't really matter. But I've never played, like, first or second in line, like, has a decent amount of responsibility and, like, has to act, like, has to weigh not just his own. Like, I've, because it's me, I've always liked not having that, like,
ball and chain.
Sure, or like, I can make decisions based on, like, my gut or conscience rather than what's for the good of the family or something. And I think that would be really challenging to play a responsible noble. Because all those other nobles I've played have all just been like, fuck you! And, like, do whatever they want. You know, but playing someone that maybe, like, can't do that or has to, like, play the system or something could be really interesting.
Like a Stark.
Sure.
Like
in a fantasy setting like that.
A Ned or a Rob.
And in like a modern setting, playing like a civil servant, you know, could be pretty interesting.
Like Athens County Commissioner.
Yeah, literally. Like, someone that, you know, can't do that. I've never played anything like that, so that would be something I would do if we ever did another fantasy game, is try to do something like that. But yeah, no, I'm also kind of like in the boat with Kyle, where I actually only have like those 2 things, like that character with who assumes the identity, and then a responsible stern noble are the only 2 things that, like, I have this itch to play and haven't been able to do.
Yeah, to go back and answer that question from Kyle a while ago, I'm kind of the same way, where I don't have specific characters running around in my head that I would like to play, but a lot of characters that I've had, I would have loved to have had some sort of a face character aspect to it. But charisma is my real life dump stat. And I just really, like, I really admire how you and Hayley can do, like, the face character so well. And then KD in this, you know, current campaign, like, you're playing Raumir, and he's like a monk who's constantly, like, spouting these, like, Deepak Chopra-like things that, like, sound deep but really mean nothing.
Yep, that's me.
And I would really like to be able to do something like that.
But I feel, because I would, on the way over, I had mentioned to Beth that you've already played a face character with your robot, your sex bot character that was from the terrible actual play podcast, which you should check out after this one, which you did an amazing job at.
Yeah, but there's kind of like 2 things. One is, you know, where Clayton was saying, it's kind of different playing a one-shot, you know, as opposed to a campaign. Because I just had to come up with, like, a couple of kind of witty things to say, and that's what I spent most of my character creation time doing, was coming up with a couple things I was going to say along the way, and then I was just waiting for places to stick them in, versus, you know, whenever I feel like you guys can just kind of say it, like it just kind of comes to you.
On the other hand, now you are fully equipped to roleplay a male because you know what it's like to just be waiting on a place to stick it in.
I knew as soon as I said that
on our podcast, Kyle.
But it's not about my specific actual dick. Which...
God damn it, Jizzbox.
Oh, is that your nickname now? Oh, wait, holy shit, is that your nickname now?
Hey, no. Can we not? Let's not.
I don't think an individual has a choice in the matter of what their nickname is.
There's no consent in that
I
name
will never, ever see any of you ever again if that name sticks. You realize that, right? I was gonna say something insightful and witty, and our listeners would have loved it, but now I'm just angry. I guess I'll try to say it anyway. So, I always thought it'd be fun to play a fucking serial killer who murders all their friends.
I hate you so much.
No, but really though,
named Pyle Kirkins.
Funnily enough, that's my drunk name. You swap the first letter of your first name and the first letter of your last name when you're drunk, and that becomes your personality. That's who you are. It's your moniker. So shout out to Lauren and Eileen who invented that. Check out their band, All Powerful Sun Goddess. So, really, though, I haven't got to do a lot of evil campaigns, and I think it would be very challenging to, and I know this is kind of stereotypical, but I'm not good at these character ideas, I guess, to put aside, like, my own desire to be noble, investigative pilot and be a, like, straight-up sociopath or serial killer or just something weird like that. A vampire game, which we might be doing in the future here, that's going to be fun. That'll be interesting. I don't know. I guess that is kind of a common character. A lot of people play evil games, but
Well, I mean, I don't think that should hold you back. Like, a lot of the times, like, archetypes are things that I want to play, and, like, maybe I twitch one thing or another thing, but, like, when I watched High Noon for the first time, I was just like, I want to play Gary Cooper's character in High Noon in a fucking RPG at some point. Like, I don't know. Same thing with, like, I rewatched Ghostbusters the other day, and I was like, man, I just want to play Winston. Man, that could just be a lot of fun. Like, you just basically go with the flow with whatever's happening. Like, Winston's just hanging out in Manhattan. Ghosts are showing up.
Old fire station.
Yeah, and he's just like, I don't really believe any of this shit, but, like, you're paying me. And so there you go. Like, that could be fun, But, like, those are, already established characters, but it's all about you playing things you want to play. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. All right, I'll be selling merch in the back, so, if anyone needs me.
So do we want to go ahead and kind of start transitioning over to campaigns? Because, Kyle, you kind of started that transition where, like, you said a character that you've never been able to play in a campaign you've never been able to play would be like the evil campaign. I've got a couple of characters that I have never been able to play. Well, I have an infinite number of characters I've never been able to play because they are my two absolute favorite D&D settings that I have never been a player in, and that would be the Planescape campaign setting and the Dark Sun campaign.
You've never been a player in Planescape?
Never been a player.
Aw, buckaroo. Little buddy, we gotta fix that. I'll run a Planescape game. Shit, that's awesome. I didn't know you never played in that. I'm sorry, I got fixated on that. What was the other one?
Dark Sun.
Dark Sun. Oh, we've talked about doing Dark Sun as a group. What? I feel like a year ago we were actually pretty serious about doing a Dark Sun game. Why didn't we do that?
I think it's because we did a beta instead, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, those are really cool settings. I totally concur. Would love to. I've played in your Planescape game. Never done Dark Sun, but I'd totally run a Planescape game.
So I'm going to go ahead and start talking about some campaigns that I would want to run.
Do it.
And before I do that, the main reason why I haven't been able to run these games why I'm not going to list all of the games that I want to run is because most of the campaigns that I want to run involve some sort of a, like, twist somewhere along the game that you guys would discover. And I really don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
So this is just kind of going to be just kind of high-level games that I've always wanted to run but never been able to. The first one is a superhero game set in the universe of Darkwing Duck.
Oh, cool.
We got me all excited, and then just crashed in.
You know, you could say, let's get dangerous.
Yes. But my biggest question is, am I really capable of running it? Because Disney cartoons and Darkwing Duck, they're not centered around violence. The heroes don't go out and, like, beat up the villains. They defeat them in other ways.
A lot of mysteries to solve.
Yeah. But when it comes down to it, the only game system that I know well that would accommodate this would be like the Fate system, where
I got it pretty well.
where combat and like physical combat and social combat and like inflicting conditions on your enemies are all in the same system. There's no difference between throwing a punch and saying something that just cuts a person down. And I don't know if I am capable of being the type of game master who could run in that setting, because I really don't think along the lines of like a Disney adventure.
I think that's
Sounds amazing.
a fair concern. Like, also, would everybody be playing, like, anthropomorphic ducks?
Or whatever Launchpad. Launchpad is a pelican.
So, like, birds.
Well, it's also in the DuckTales universe. It's all the same universe. So you could play like the what are the villains in the DuckTales?
Is
the
it
Beagle Boys?
I don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
remember.
Don't DuckTales also share a universe with Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers?
No. In Chip and Dale's, there's definitely humans.
Okay.
Well, I think that that's just a problem with running any Disney property in general. With a couple exceptions. Is, like, you got a very idealized way the world works according to its rules. And, like, some universes, I think, are just harder to apply to an RPG than other ones, you know? And, like, I think a lot of Disney properties are that one. Like, imagine trying to run, like, I don't know. I was about to say Pocahontas, and I was like, oh, God, no. That's bad. No.
Yeah, imagine Pocahontas as a role-playing game where the player characters are the settlers, and they just want to. I mean, they would do what was
it's
really done.
It's a
they would just
historical
come in
reenactment
and kill everyone.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess like more so like cartoon series, like you know a DuckTales.
Or like
game.
a Gargoyles. I feel like Gargoyles can be more pulled off though because it's a lot darker and adult.
Yeah, and they kind of fight stuff, right? I haven't seen any Gargoyles actually. So
You
You
should.
should really fix that.
Yeah.
I don't watch.
I'm sitting here looking up.
I prefer anime. Just monocle.
Now, technically, it would be pronounced anime.
Go
in
back
the
to
original
your
Japanese.
Dakimura, whatever they call it.
It's Dakimakura. Thank you.
So I had to look up Darkwing Duck villains because I couldn't remember any. And we've got FOWL, acronym, I don't know what it stands for.
Like FOWL?
Yeah, they were the, like, evil league, led by Negaduck, who is Darkwing Duck in inverted colors. And then there's also Taurus Bulba, this, like, big bull character in a suit who's, like, kind of like a mafia analog, like an evil businessman type. And, yeah, there's a whole bunch of other random stuff, including Quackerjack, voiced by Tim Curry, who's a Joker analog, or maybe even more like a Riddler. Steelbeak, who is a total ripoff of Jaws from Bond, Bond series of movies. I don't know if he was ever in the books. You're bringing back... I used to love that show, and I think that it would have to center around plots that could be evil if they get pulled off, but they never happen. And the good guys, Darkwing and company, never kill their enemies. And so it would have to be like an escalating game of plots that get foiled, but then something else happens in doing that. And so it would be like constantly And maybe you could even have like half the party be the bad guys and half the party be the good guys. I don't know.
That sounds
GM plays the
awesome.
bad guys, whatever happens. But it'd be like a constant game of escalation, I think. That's how that would kind of work.
Sounds like just hyper dominoes. Like, stop the plot. Oh, that happened. Stop the plot. That happened. It's just getting faster and faster and like just hyper escalating until eventually they're just like you're getting into some gritty, dark, weird shit. Which is, I think, is also a problem. Is like that endless game of escalation. If it turns out like, yes, today Darkwing Duck and Company foil ethnic cleansing. You're like, thanks. How did we get here?
You could look at Darkwing Duck in like a gritty movie, just like, swear to me!
So, okay, I guess that's what I was getting at, is like, there is groups out there, I'm sure, that think it'd be funny to take that and kind of corrupt it and make it like really gritty and like kill people.
That's absolutely the opposite of what I would want to do with it.
Like,
I would want to keep it light. I would want to keep it Saturday morning cartoon.
Right? Like, I wasn't a part of this, but I was on the periphery of a Pokemon game that was ran that got really fucking weird with like guns and like shit that shouldn't be in fucking Pokemon because the people that ran it were like, well, you know, there's guns in that one episode of Pokemon, you know, the one where Ash gets the gun pointed at him, so we should all have guns. And the GM was like, well, okay, I guess. And like, it just, like, that's my concern with doing anything like Pokemon or like Saturday morning cartoon, is that you have assholes that are just gonna corrupt it and like ruin it.
Can you imagine Mr. Mime that has prehensile thumbs
Oh,
holding a gun?
no, I don't want to think of that.
Your money or your life! Mr. Mime! Wow.
Hey, Ash's mom probably is just
I
like,
think it's
all about it.
ooh.
Spicy, hot take.
Listen, she's
Ash's
she's
mom.
barking
No,
out a
murder,
different oak
suicide,
tree.
like
Mr.
domestic or what?
Mr. Mime takes care of Ash's mom.
Well, it's like a domestic gone wrong.
Mr. Mime.
But also he can say things other than Mr. Mime.
Oh, God.
Upsetting.
I don't want to think about
Those are
that.
really upsetting to hear.
Imagine, like, trying to get through a hostage negotiation, and all the guy can say is Mr. Mime.
This is every day when they have to deal with Team Rocket's Meowth. They're just like, I don't like that he says words.
Where are we at, chickens? Well, sir, we've got him agreed to let out some of the hostages. Put me on the phone with him. Hello? Mr. Mime!
Listen, you sick son of a bitch!
I hate this. This is dumb.
I think it's all about having everybody understand the social contract of keeping it light, which I think is pretty doable depending on if you have the right crowd.
Yeah, it would also depend on the players being wrapped up in that nostalgia that I feel for the Darkwing Duck property. And my next couple of campaigns that I've never run also really deal with nostalgia as well. I've always wanted to run a like 1980s G.I. Joe style game where you all make your own characters and you're fighting Cobra.
Yojo.
That sounds awesome!
And the other one is even more nostalgic for me, based on the idea of like Mayberry from the Andy Griffith Show. The original idea was that it would be Mayberry, but there would be some Call of Cthulhu stuff going on that you would eventually discover. Like the first like maybe 5 or 6 sessions of it would be just everyday life in Mayberry, like fixing, like dealing with the little problems that all the people have, and everybody just having to work together to solve whatever little problem was going on, and then stuff starts to get dark. So now that I've said this, I've got, like, I could either do it that way, or I could run this game as a complete bait and switch, where there is never any horror that comes up. And we just play Mayberry for an entire campaign.
Wow. I was thinking
my
something
God.
like that, but in the Stepford Wives neighborhood, where nothing is actually wrong.
Wait, no,
funny.
in the movie in the 90s, they were robots.
A twist where nothing is actually wrong.
I thought
That's
you
what
were...
she's saying, yeah, you're expecting it to be the Stepford Wives and that it isn't.
Okay, I thought you were saying that, like, in the... I haven't actually
No,
seen
actually,
it.
the twist, it's just misogyny, but that's also the twist in the movie, so...
Yeah.
Isn't that the real-life twist?
It's not a twist, arguably.
No, it's not. We're all equal. It's not real anymore.
Okay, it's a twist, then. It's fine.
I think you're an evil bastard, Clayton. Because now, when you eventually pitch this idea, we're not going to know.
And I actually came up with a third idea that I'm probably going to go with, but I'm not going to share any details about it.
Right.
Sounds pretty awesome.
I think it'd be fun in the same vein of that to do, I don't know how you would do it exactly, but something kind of themed around Tucker and Dale versus evil, where you've got all these tropes and you think that there are a bunch of evil things happening, and then they're not. But
God, my favorite part of that.
At the end, you discover that you're the one who's half hillbilly.
My favorite part of that movie is Dale, like, just going outside and being like, Tucker, there's some sort of college teenage suicide pact going on, and like you just see the dude in the wood chipper, and you're just like, oh my god, what? It's quality. Like I think that subversion of expectations, if done well in an RPG, could be really cool. Especially like imagine a hunter game, but with a Tucker versus Dale vibe.
that would be fucking hilarious. That's a great way to do that. Actually, I was trying to think of like what system and like how you could theme that.
And it kind of has to be hunter.
The party are all hunters, and they've got something. No, but they don't. That's the funniest part about it.
So, Mr. Creativity.
Your hyper-creative
What do you got
brain.
rattling around in there?
Would you like me to regale you with my worlds? Ready to enter my domain? Kyle Perkins, actor, pilot, motorcycle enthusiast, writer / actor.
Are you gonna... No.
If that name sticks, Hayley, you'll never see me again.
You'll be dead.
I'm dead serious.
Are you gonna
You'll be dead.
Are you gonna leave time after you talk for other people to talk, or is this like the finale?
No, I have two ideas,
just
guys.
wondering.
I have two ideas.
When you listed your credentials, I wasn't sure if you're about to like pull up a slideshow.
Yeah. This is your TED Talk now. Like, I didn't know what you were gonna do.
You guys fully realize that in 20 years, I'm gonna be putting on one of those like a Radisson in a small town, and like people pay me like $200 to come and learn about my life and like buy my book, and I'm just a hack. You know
Like
what I'm talking
every
Do you have to wait
motivational
20
speaker
years
that
for
exists.
that?
I couldn't do it yet. I'm not Silver Fox enough.
You're not silver at all. You have a full head of hair.
That's his point.
I love the idea that silver is
Bald.
different than. Oh god, I'm so sorry. What you said was a very good visual. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Silver Surfer. That's a comic reference. He's a Silver
I'm
Fox.
so proud of you.
Thank you. I'll talk about one idea and then I'll pass the torch.
No, you can talk about both. I'm literally curious.
No. I'll talk about one and I'll pass the torch on somebody else. So, I have always wanted to run and finish. I actually started it and then it stopped after just a couple of sessions, so I feel like it's valid here. A Star Wars game. This is before anything has any new movies. This would have been, sometime after Episode 3 came out. Star Wars game centered around the Infinity Gates. You know what I'm talking about, Kyle?
Oh yeah.
So these gates where you can transport yourself across the galaxy instantly, and it was this like ancient empire called
the Ratakid.
called the Kwa.
Oh,
I think.
never mind.
Yeah. The KWA.
Is this
Oh, are they the people that are made of light? The Qua?
No, they kind of look like that.
What was your realization?
Like a
Great on a
weird,
podcast.
Oh, that's,
weird chiseled.
It's Doomsday from DC Properties.
Yeah, they look like Damsday from the DC property.
Darkseid. They're two different people.
Anyway, there are gates that you can they're stargates. They're fucking stargates there. And one of them is on Dathomir.
I love Dathomir.
And there's a whole bunch of did you remember the the race of people who are like barely sapient, and not the night witches, the
Night Witches are on Dathomir.
the night witch. Huh. So the Night Witches, just two of my favorite groups of ladies. The Night Witches on Dathomir are like force-sensitive, cool people, and they're assholes, and they have like enslaved this race, and there's a bunch of ruins, and no one knows what they're for. And so the players would go to Dathomir and have to deal with the Night Witches, and it turns out this race, they were like infected, I think, with some kind of degenerative disease that caused them to sort of like de-encephalize and become Dumbos. And there is a Stargate, an infinity gate in Star Wars parlance, on Dathomir, which the players would use to shoot them off into a part of the galaxy super crazy cray, where my intention... Ooh, do I want to spoil it? Maybe I won't spoil it.
That's a good idea.
So, yeah. Star Wars, standard setting, all this... Well, by that I mean Legends? Legacy? What do they call
Legacy
it now?
now.
Legacy universe. And the players would be Star Wars characters in a Star Wars setting where they get transported off into something weird. I'll leave it at that. Hayley had a question.
I just had a question about a word, but I think Nina texted it to me, even though my phone's across the room.
I didn't.
Oh, was it something else?
No.
Great.
I started and then he kept talking, so.
Yeah. It's fine. I was just dumb.
Dean subjects, yeah.
Oh, so did you know that pigs are so smart that people have attempted to de-encephalize them, make a race of stupid pigs, a species, I guess, whatever, variety, so that people won't feel bad about eating them.
Aww.
Breed, thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
Great.
But domestication already does that.
True, but they're still already smart, and so we want to, like, double down on that. So yeah, like, the idea being to kind of turn Star Wars on its head and take it to a, long time ago in a galaxy far, 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 far away.
It's Farscape. It's Farscape game. Isn't it? Isn't it, Kyle? Isn't it, Kyle? You fucking piece of... We'll be back to you after these messages.
Man, why'd you guys spoil it?
Aww.
I literally just guessed.
Good guess. That's it.
You did overplay your hand with the far, far, and then you looked at me, you raised your eyebrows, and went far away.
I said 4 fars. I was just trying to implicate that it's far away from the far away. But good. You know me too well. We gotta stop living together. This is it. I'm moving out.
It was also like half a joke, but then you didn't laugh, and I was like, oh no, I was right.
Yeah, you're right. Well, that's all right. I still think it'd be fun.
It would be.
I don't know what Farscape is, so I'd be
I'll save it for the nerd thing after this.
Yay! I had a campaign that I currently want to run, but I won't be here for the month of November, and I've been trying to create an outside of this group of friends. As much as I love them, I don't get to see them as much as I want to, so I was going to create an extra group of RPG friends. I couldn't get schedules to work out, but I had this idea.
collecting our DNA? You're gonna fucking clone us?
No, I'm not going to clone you.
De-encephalize us?
I was gonna hang out with like other people that aren't you. Chill out. I wanted to run a game based off of journalism, where all the characters work for a journal or volunteer for it, and if you like going around interviewing NPCs, doing like harder detective work, and if you don't write something down or you don't take notes on it, I'm not going to repeat myself. So you literally have to collect data and hang on to it and really like do the groundwork for it. And the basic idea for the game is you guys are just doing general, like, oh, it's Beck it's a college journal that they're working for at, oh god, what was it? It was a specific college in California that's, Channel Islands, where it's only in its first few years because it was a condemned insane asylum that they shut down for medical purposes, and then they just brought it back up as a college. It's one of the most haunted campuses in the United States, but not close enough to us. But the idea of the game was one of the reporters found something and was murdered for it, and you're trying to figure out who murdered it and unleashing this college conspiracy that's maybe been longer since the college has even been open. So I was really excited to run that game, but I could just never get the people for it. I really like mystery games, and I think I would have run it in Hunter, just for the journalistic aspects.
I have a couple, actually. The first one is one that... I'll tell the first one, because this one that I've wanted to run now for, 5 years, maybe? It's been a long time. And I did a lot of the groundwork for it, but game never came together. And it's a Hunter... It's also a Hunter game, but it's like a legacy game. And it would be set over, many different time periods. And you have a sort of dynasty that you play, but it's not, it doesn't have to be hereditary. It could be like a bloodline in a way. And it's sort of like, it's split into like arcs of like 2 to 3 sessions. You play that incarnation of your bloodline in like 1650s in Salem or something. And it would just keep going down and down. And each bloodline would have an item or some sort of like innate ability that would increase or get better as the challenges of each time frame increased, and as like the world of, you know, the darkness like kept encouraging more and more, and you became more aware of it. So like the deeper you got, the more prepared you'd be, but the more serious shit would get. But you know, it'd also be a challenge for you guys, because it'd be like, how do you pass on the torch? You know, what way do you do it? It could be like a mentor-student thing. It could be like you bury your item off somewhere and like some dude finds it. Now he's in charge, you know? Like,
I always give it to a homeless person.
Yeah, you could totally do something like that, you know? And then it could be fun to, over the course of the campaign, like keep track of who exactly got your new item, what are they like, and it gives you guys different chances to play different characters within the same campaign.
I love that idea. Please run that immediately.
That sounds like so much work for you.
Yeah, no, it totally would be, and when I planned this, it was like back when I was like just starting college and had like a lot of free time, and you know, maybe not so much to have that much free time now, but like it's still something I would like to do at some point, for sure. And the second one was another game that's been a more recently, and it's kind of an abstract idea, and I don't know what system I would even run it in, but it would be a like pseudo-competitive, it could be competitive, it could not, game in which the King of Hell dies. Your guys are all playing demons, and like the underworld is thrown into total chaos, and it's just like,
hell must be empty for all the devils are here.
Right? Like, what do you guys do? Do you try to like become the new ruler? Or do you guys just like go off and do other things? You know, and I'd make an underworld, and everyone would have totally free reign in there. It would definitely be a smaller game, because I could not do that with like a full group of people. But like the whole idea would be trying to like define what freedom means for individual people. You know?
Well, you can take a lot of things, just not the sky.
Can't take that from us.
I love that both of us are just like, so yeah, I'm making this character so I can like discover whether kindness and empathy are really all that linked, and you're just like, we gotta define freedom and what freedom means to like specific people, blah blah blah. I'm like, why can't we just have fun, Kyle?
Yeah, no, this is
no offense to us.
Games are a very academic process. No, but that's something I've always been really interested in, because, you know, I'm a big, like, SMT fan.
SMT?
Shin Megami Tensei. It is a Japanese JRPG series, in which you have law versus chaos as, like, the central theme. But in that game, chaos is often seen as, like, better. Because kind of like in a D&D sense, chaos is, like, freedom, law is, like, security, but you're, you know, bound by the rules, I guess. And so I would kind of want to, like, see how that would play out in a group, but I think what would be interesting is just, like, you wouldn't have to be evil, you know? Like, you guys could be whatever you wanted to be. It'd be very free form. And so, I don't know, just, I've always thought that'd be something really fun to do, to see what people do, and just kind of give them, like, it'd be kind of a sandbox game in a way, you know? Like, you guys would kind of make the plot up. So, yeah, those are the two that I've always had rattling around, but have never gotten to run, but would like to one day, maybe.
I wanted to follow Katie specifically because this also involves him.
Oh, yeah.
The Future Diary game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've never ran a game, but I've never been a DM. And then I watched Future Diary with these two Kyle boys, maybe, and realized that Future Diary would make a very fun game. So the premise is that God is dying, and he picks 10?
Give or take.
Might be 13.
13? People throughout the world, but obviously for games'
It's definitely
sake,
more than 9.
It should be 7.
It should be 7. But I think the point is that he's not the Christian God, so... Anyway, so 13 people that he provides these future diaries with, where for each person they tell the future, but in a very specific way. So one character is a terrorist, and her diary tells, her future diary tells about her escape, and it tells her like how she's going to escape in the future, so she knows what to do, etc., etc. It would be a very fun game, and the reason it involves Katie is because it definitely requires 2 DMs, because one person would have to spend the time to, and this is just the impossible part of it, figure out how a future diary would work for a player.
Oh yeah, and someone would have to be in charge of texting all the players information
God.
constantly. And then the other person has to run
Actually
like,
run the
NPCs
game.
and run the game.
Yeah.
You
Also,
might even need like
it's
three
for like
people.
4 people to run
Yeah.
this game and just like 2 to play. But yeah, so anyway, the winner of didn't mention this. You're trying to kill the other players, obviously, and whoever wins becomes God. But at what cost?
You know, God is just one of us. Just a
stranger on the bus.
How many times?
Can that be just like the intro song for our fucking podcast?
yeah.
I'm not going to pay for the rights.
On the train of animes that inspire us, I really like My Hero Academia, like, way too much. And I really want to run a short campaign in the My Hero Academia universe as a rival school of UA. But your class is specifically kids in a reform program where your parents are villains and they're trying to make sure you don't go down the same path as them.
Ooh.
So I think
Right,
that
because
could be...
putting those children in a strict reform program is exactly how to turn them
Yes.
into not villains.
Exactly. Well, I think that would be the challenge of it, is to try and not give into your villain-like tendencies or completely take the campaign to
Now,
a
what I think
straight
you should
villain
do
school.
is have that reform school be privatized and essentially have the judges responsible for sending kids to that school receive kickbacks from the corporation that owns that school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great
how it
idea.
goes.
It's a great fucking idea.
So
Yeah.
Privatized
it's
prison
really
program.
just a student-first program.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, education.
I actually do like that idea.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea. I love
really
it.
fun.
How you can be a villain in a world where all might exist. I could never. Like, I
Yeah.
just see that man.
And I think
his
it could,
muscles
I
and
think it would
like,
be really
I can't
interesting
evil.
because everything that's going on with My Hero Academia, specifically the moral rise of the villains, as I kind of like to see it, having it parallel this campaign. So having things from the anime affect us, but without having to actually deal with any of those characters, I think could be really fun. Mm-hmm. Plus superheroes.
My last idea. I don't have any more ideas. Like, that's it. I'm
Well,
gonna
you
allow
should
one
wait,
more.
because I have 2 more, and you guys just bounce back and forth like popcorn.
Go.
Yeah, it's because we poppin'.
Hey, Kyle, what's in your hyper creative brain this time?
Ah, yes, welcome back to my creativity dome. I've installed...
We are running long.
Yeah, we are!
Should we stop?
Well, I just want to let you know that before you talk for like 4 minutes to intro what you're talking about.
Correct.
It's not like I chose to speak first, and all of a sudden everyone else had a bunch of ideas. So, I'll go quick. I have always wanted to do a game, and I have the books to do it, where the party plays cadets in Starfleet Academy. You go through the academy, have wacky cadet adventures, and then flash forward like 5 years, where after everyone's first posting, which would be something different, the cadets are all reunited because they all did well in various fields and are put upon a like prestigious station, or probably more like a starship. And then we transition those characters from the Starfleet Academy books into the actual like Star Trek universe books. And so it would be, I guess, kind of 2 campaigns, one being Academy and the sequel being now we're all officers in Starfleet and we're on our like real first, like not our first posting, but like our first prestigious posting. And the other idea would be one that I started and didn't have time to keep up with, and that would be a play-by-email game where everybody wakes up and they are completely alone. Their friends, spouse, whatever, whoever else, roommates, they're all gone. They wake up, they start to walk around their neighborhood, no one's there. Their entire city, no one's there. They go further and further out, and they're the only person left in existence. Now, the obvious, like, spoiler that everyone already knows anyway, is that there are more players in the game, but because it's played by email, you wouldn't know how many. And the idea would be that eventually people would meet up, and then it would turn into a all-sit-at-the-table once-a-week game. And I started doing that and just didn't have time to keep up with it. But it's something I would really like to do at some point in the future.
All right, so we want to go ahead and do our last go around and just kind of talk about the characters that we are currently playing.
I think we should maybe start with Kyle because he's our DM and maybe talk about the current campaign we're in and then go around.
I'll keep it short. It's a fantasy campaign, D&D 5e. It's using a plot device from Sean McMullen's Souls in the Great Machine. It's a pretty good fantasy book. It's based on an archipelago, so there's a lot of nautical nonsense.
If something you wish. Aye, Captain.
I'm currently one of the cool things that I'm excited about this campaign is that we picked a class out of a hat, so we don't always play the same things, and I'm currently playing a fighter. She is specifically a noble knight, a half-orc noble knight named Morgana Kotatar, who is very loyal and has a very keen sense of justice, and she is on a personal quest to try and figure out how to become fully human, or else some consequences might happen to her island that she cares a lot about.
I'm currently playing a Tale of Two R's. In Kyle's game, I'm playing a tiefling monk named Ralmir Valo, full of many fortune cookie wisdoms that I've been challenging myself to come up with on the spot that don't make any sense.
I think my
They're
favorite...
brilliant.
I think my favorite is definitely those who give the most have the most to give. That's quite good. I enjoy that one.
You know, factually accurate. And then in a different game that I'm in, I am playing a ice mage named Ramiel Baragon, and she has a lot of daddy issues and is very sort of distant, icy, if you will.
She got the cold shoulder a lot. Neen isn't here, so I gotta do this.
Yeah. Actually, one of my abilities is like cold shoulder.
Jesus.
Anyway.
Cool.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I'm playing Osbjorn Ritter. He is a paladin of the goddess of life and death, and he is a noble, or he is the descendant of a noble family, and he has been exiled from his homeland, and he completely agrees with the reason why he's been exiled, and he is not going to ever go back willingly. And that's going to be, hopefully that will be fun playing out.
Intrigue.
I'm playing a dragonborn cleric. Her name is Saoirse, and she's only 10 years old, which is equivalent to 12 or 13 in human years. And a lot of times generally how I create a character is I read through the book and I just wait for a character to kind of show up in my head. And she showed up as this 6 foot tall, almost 200 pound, creature. She's extremely cool looking, looks badass, has a lot of badass abilities, but she was just recently drawn into the church, and I pictured her as this giant badass looking thing sitting in a corner crying for her mother.
Oh
no. My character is named Nadani. She is a tiefling bard. She's Ralmir's twin sister, the older twin.
5 minutes.
She is the absolute antithesis of her stoic brother. A party girl a little bit, but also very, very capable, and often gets underestimated due to her fun-loving, rebellious prankster nature.
All right, and does anyone want to start off with the geek things that we are interested in?
I can start off because I got some pretty fresh stuff. I have the notes written down over here. So, people on the podcast don't have a visual, but I'm currently sitting here dressed up as Ginny Weasley, full robes. And that is because I just got done with a photo shoot. I was helping out with a friend. Oh god, here we are. Information. I have a friend, they're... oh god, I'm so sorry. Hrothgar's Horde.
Like High Hrothgar.
Hrothgar, yeah. Hrothgar's Horde.
Which is from Skyrim, right? High Hrothgar? Yeah, Skyrim.
They make wands for LARPing and other collectibles, and I just had a blast working with them. They make acrylic and wooden stuff, and I was modeling for their Kickstarter page and their website, and I had a blast. And I was also shooting with Just Some Nerd, and you can find both of these people on Facebook. I highly recommend following their pages. They're incredible to work with, and the photos, I got a few of them before we started recording, and they look really cool. The wands detach, and you can actually use them as like dice holders or scroll holders, depending
Put some
on what
marijuana
you need.
in it.
Yeah, some fun stuff, but it's just really lovely to work with them and to do cosplay stuff. And you can also find those pictures once I get them, all of them, on my Instagram page, which is Bae the Fae, and that's BAE the FAE. And I do cosplay, and I'm real cute.
You're also an author. You want to talk about your prolific writing?
No, you only get one.
I don't get
You only get one
At least you can find my MLK stuff.
Oh, Jesus. Does anybody else have anything?
I do. I discovered on YouTube there is some guy who did an anime version of the intro to Rick and Morty, and it is awesome.
It's so great.
I'm going to link it in the show notes because words cannot describe.
Well, it's that time of year again, folks. It's October. On one hand, that means just horror movies. Great. Love October. One of the best months. But also means, yep, that's right, yet another League of Legends Esports World Championship!
I'm gonna leave.
Okay! I'm a big League fan.
Nerd?
Nerd even. I play a decent amount of it, but I also watch esports, along with traditional sports. Excited for that Browns
Big
game.
old sport.
Browns, Cleveland Browns. We can do better than that. We're not going to, but we could.
We could. And so, Worlds this year is going to be very exciting. A lot of different teams. The dynastic team of SK Telecom, very prolific Korean esports team, is no longer at the tournament. They have fallen from grace. It's a new era beginning. It's a very exciting time to be watching. They just lost. They lost last year, and then they didn't even make playoffs this year. Or they did make playoffs, but they went out in the first round. So you have all these teams from all over the world competing.
Are there any North Korean teams? Serious question.
No.
Huh.
No. The five, there's a couple major regions. It's like Taiwan, China, South Korea, North America, Europe, and that's it. But a bunch of teams from all over the world, including major regions from that are not major regions, are all going to be there. It's going to be very exciting.
Would Australia and New Zealand be lumped into Europe, or what?
They are considered Oceania.
Oh, fair.
They are their own region.
There will no doubt be a new Imagine Dragons song revealed.
Absolutely.
Because they somehow are the only artist that damn sports ball thing
well, this
does.
year we got the Glitch Mob, and 2 years ago we got EDM artist Zed.
And what did DJ fucking Khaled do for this nerd community? It wasn't like a League of Legends thing, was it?
No, he might have done something for like Overwatch or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway, if you like sports or you like League of Legends, check it out. My boys, KT, Korean Telecom, rivaled SKT, are in there, and I can't wait to be disappointed like I am every year. So that'll be fun. Check back with me in probably about a month where I'll be sobbing uncontrollably.
It was the Overwatch League, yeah.
Okay. That's all I got. Check it out. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Best time of the year.
All right, guys, what do you say we stop this bullshit and start rolling some dice? This has been a production of Alien Familiar Media. You can find past episodes and more at alienfamiliar.com. You can email us at alienfamiliarmedia@gmail.com. This production is protected under a Creative Commons non-commercial attribution, no derivatives license. Music for this episode is Suburban Outlaw by Forget the Whale and can be found at freemusicarchive.org.